Yes, in the back.
For both of you, what would you say was your biggest discovery that you had when you were on this writing journey for both of your books?
What was the biggest discovery you had when you were on your writing journey for writing these books? Oh, there's a microphone right there.
This one?
Yeah. You can pick it up.
Okay, well, I was like, I gotta be stuck here.
You're
gonna need a chiropractor after that.
Turn it on.
Okay, thank you, Diana.
Yeah, no problem.
Kapkusi, yeah?
Yeah, here.
Oh,
You
there.
got it, you got it.
Thank you. Beautiful question, Mary. Thank you. Discovery. I think I'm one of those people who are very iterative. So like I have many of those in each phase. But I think one of the early discoveries that really challenged me to push forward and write the stories I wanted to write was it has two parts. One is discovering that I had stories there were stories that I wanted to write, and that there are so few of them out there in the world. And I'm sure Shugri can attest to this too. And doing research as a writer and trying to you want to read as widely as possible, and learn from other writers in different ways. And there were a lot of writers who I've learned from and who influenced my work when it comes to the craft side and different aspects of it. But the type of stories I wanted to write, I didn't find a lot of inspiration of people who've done it and done it in ways that were informative for me. So that was challenging, but also inspiring, because I knew that there was something I could bring into the world that could add value, and that is really important to me as a parent and as a writer. So that was one, and the second other part of it is the having all this culturally and sometimes personally informed stories, and feeling kind of like, wow, there's just so much of new things to do, but then feeling liberated by the discovery that just because something happened, because my fiction is very much a lot of it is personal story driven, but realizing that just because something happened and that I had experience of it doesn't mean that everything has to be included. And just the freedom of, I write fiction, so then like having the spaciousness to say I can go wherever I want, whatever my imagination takes me with this, and that was really freeing for me, because there was just a lot of things that felt hard and challenging to move, but that was I would say those two sides of that thing helped me move along.
I don't know if we want to answer the same question. I think if you answer, I can answer the second question, actually. Unless you want to know my answer.
Please.
Okay. I think one of the hardest things for me was, I am a believer that don't search for agent or publishers. You do the work of writing the book first. Because if you can't hold yourself accountable of the process of writing, why would you want anybody else to do things for you? So first thing is I finished. 1,000 pages later, we're like, okay, I think it's about time to look for an agent. You don't want to look for a publishing agent. And so then it starts the process of writing to all of these places and saying rejection letter after rejection letter after rejection. That is just how it goes. And finally, you always have to do this thing. Tell your story, anybody who's gonna listen. And hey, I'm writing this, do you want me to send you a little snippet of it? Just keep doing it. And that's really what I did. And in the end, I'm from Sonoma County, and I grew up with a lot of hippie people, placenta eating, and they're very good people. And they were like, okay, Shugri, so you heard so one of those people just stepped in and gave me an agent. And then the agent is like, okay, get going. And she's like, Shugri, you have to write a proposal. But why? I have to write a 100-page proposal. And it's just the way it goes. And then when the book, it's just a process. I think today the world is changing. If you have a book to write, there are ways to publish through Amazon or through even Barnes and Noble, by the way. You can put your book there. You don't need a publisher.
Being an American both of you mentioned being Somalian nomads, and I don't necessarily know what that means, so can you sort of explain that?
Yeah.
Understand that?
So the question is, what does it mean to be a Somali nomad? Can you explain that more?
I can do it. I'm fine if you want.
You can start.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for asking. For me, Somalis are actually majority of us, even if we're not, our mothers could be our fathers. So everybody have that connection. So nomadic people are the people who are like the easiest way to explain it is like the rain. Our animals needs green land, grass to eat, and to do that the rain must come and you need to get a water from the well. So it's almost that kind of a cycle where you are always moving to a new greener pastures, so you can able to, so often they're moving around the desert. They don't settle down in one area, they are always in the move. And so that's really the quickest answer I can give. And for me, I was tied to both the city and the nomad. Like you Saida had from the get-go, you stay there longer. But some of us as children, when school is closed, we'll go to the nomadic world to get fat and health. It's good to get fat as a child, they say. So that is kind of that kind of way. So we are very connected to that root. Even people who grew up in the cities are like that.
I think you summed it up really well.
Yeah, thanks.
So there's the physical setting part of it, right? So both of our stories are set in regions, actually different regions. One more of a desert, as you can see in Shugri's book, and mine very lush region. Well, when it rains, we have our droughts too. So it's interesting. Like a lot of people don't know actually the diversity of the land and the people in Somalia. So there's that physical setting aspect of it that stories are set up. We're both from parts of Somalia that are pastoral, that are people with animals and depending on the seasons, move a lot, and so that like lifestyle, nomadic lifestyle is a big part of it. And I love what Shugri said about all Somalis have connection to nomadic life, and it's really I think it's one of the things that that really grounds Somalis of all backgrounds and connects us is that nomadic connection. Someone like Shugri said might have their family, they might not be from there. We call them, like I would call them city people. So we have different terms, city people and nomadic people. And so some people might not be immediately attached. So they might come from the south, like the city, but their parents might be, like Shugri said, or their grandparents for sure have connection. Most Somalis have that connection. And the storytelling and the way of storytelling. So like, I know we're short of time, I'll add one thing, one of the elements, storytelling elements that shows up in A Song of Our Own that shows this nomadic side on like the storytelling side is the rhythmic ha and haye. So like when people are in a circle, there's this way of like back and forth way of telling stories, and it's in Shugri's story too. So it's everything. It's from the setting to the ways people tell stories that informs it, and also like the physical, just like people with animals.
Let them know, like we can. If you're really curious and want to know, The Last Nomad goes into very good detail. really, like a lot of people really gain insight for that. And then for children, we have these two amazing books. So for adults, we have something. We cover everything.
Keen hoped she would one day learn to build a hut like her mother, but as usual, Keen was left to watch the children. She kept an eye on her siblings, as was her responsibility, but if you asked her what was really left for her to do, the answer would be absolutely nothing at all. And that's Keen's voice, by the way. Keen used to be happy watching and playing with Dahir and Bulhan, but lately, all she could think about was her dream of one day herding the goats and sheep all by herself, just like her older siblings and parents did. Because she was, after all, a grown 7-year-old responsible girl. So that's what she wants. This is a special chapter for me because it's the moment that Keen comes up with her song, discovers her song, and there's actually a part of it where I would love some participation for those who are willing when we get there. And I'll read just a big opening of the chapter. One sunny afternoon, Keen took the mortar and pestle to a quiet spot under the big acacia tree by Dar Akal. It was time to boil barley for dinner. She poured water over the barley into the mortar and pounded, thump, thump, thump. As she felt her firm grip and the warmth of her hands on the pestle, swirling thoughts and simmering anger over not getting what she wanted, despite trying for so long, gently faded. Each pounding let a little bit of anger out. Soon, Keen was humming a soft tune, a song she didn't know yet, but could feel coming. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. No one was with her. It was just her. Her body's movements and the sounds of the motor and the pestle and barley blended with her humming, carrying her away. A song for the barley finally came to her. And we'll read the song in Somali, and we can read the English translation as well. And this is the part that I invite participation for those who like, and I'll tell you which part you can help with. And the reason why I offer this is because when Keen comes up with this song, her community, her family joins her in, sings with her. So it feels fitting that we sing it together when we're to honor Keen when we read this song. So the song is Sahib Sareno, Sas, Sigde, Sigde, Sigde. So Sigde, and I hear, so the Somali speakers, some of you might know what Sig means, Sigde. So so if we can all, for those who can, say out loud, Sigde, Sigde, Sigde. Thank you. And the next part, Sahib Sareno, Sisahlan. Sibo, Sibo, Sibo. So if I can hear you say Siba, Siba, Sibo.
Sibo.
Thank you. Sahib Sareno, Sidagdaga, Isa'id, Isa'id, Isa'id. Thank you so much. And she repeats the song over and over again. Oh, barley friend, like that. Sigde, Sigde, Sigde. Oh, barley friend, easily slip, as in slip out of the hole. Oh, barley friend, quickly help me, as in help me finish my chore. Keen sang and sang, the pestle bouncing in her hands. Time danced away, and she lost track of it. And I'll end there. The reading. And I just want to say a few more words. I think we're out of time, but I'll say just good. Okay. Just a few words about the topic of Somali culture through children's literature. This story, so Keen's story and Shugri Suban's story, being the first two children's books on nomadic Somalia. They reveal a lot about, well, of course, being children's stories that are accessible to all children, they also have another side to them that gives a really intimate look into Somali culture, and specifically Somali cultural wisdom woven into the stories. When Keen is, of course, being a child, is with her own journey of getting what she wants and being seen in her family, right? She's also part of and is participating in and is learning without, of course, being taught. There's no instruction. Somali cultural wisdom through the stories, through the sayings. So Sayings are a big part of Somali culture. It's just the way that people communicate and understand the world. And there are a lot of sayings that she hears and interacts with. And she doesn't hear them as instructions, as things that are like, oh, there's a rule we have to follow. It's more just way of being in the world that are coming through those stories and those sayings. There's one saying in A Song of Our Own that stays with Keen, and is one of my favorite sayings, and what it is Ga'al isma'i lishu in Somali. Ga'al isma'i lishu. Somali speakers will know what that means. Ga'al isma'i lishu. And it means in English, dear ones, is a rough translation. Dear ones don't crowd each other, or that people at their core are close to each other. And what a beautiful message it is now in our world, right? And in Suban's last day, I wouldn't spoil it, Shugri will tell us about it, but when I read it, one of the things, being a nomadic child once in my life, in my past, one of the things that showed me, that really stood out to me, showing this Somali cultural wisdom, is how little Suban's grandma, how she tells her things, right? So like, not as an instruction, but like the way, the kind of the challenges she gives, not packaged in instructions, but are sort of invitations, and they're used in natural markers, right? The frog, when will my teeth come out, or when the frog, what was it, Sugar? When the frog sounds from, calls from the pond, right? So used in natural environment and natural markers to tell stories and to also teach. So like, I'm not afraid of teaching. I think teaching is a wonderful thing. But the beauty of stories, the beauty of culture, when cultures do this kind of thing and have capacity for that kind of richness of teaching things and passing on culture, not instructional. It just adds another level of beauty, I think. And Somali culture does that so well, and I am just so proud of that we're having these stories, share that with the world and with readers. There's Somali stories, and especially now, we need this type of stories in Somali children's hands in the face of just so much negative and harmful rhetoric. And I'm glad that Somali children can open these books, can see Suban and Keen, and be reminded of the richness and the beauty that they come from and that they are, and for them to be able to share that with the world, because we're very sharing culture.
In the Somali desert, a girl eagerly awaits the day she can herd the goats all by herself. But her grandmother won't allow her into the wilderness until her front teeth fall out. Patiently, Suban waits and waits until she can't wait anymore. After a creative thinking and a head pump from a goat to help loosen her front teeth, Suban is ready to prove that she can herd the animal across the desert safely. But with a sneaky fox crawling about, will Suban learn the resilience she needs to protect her goats. I want to read a little bit for you, something that the kids, a lot of parents are like, Shugri, my kids cannot put the book down. Shugri, I have to say this, a lot of my American Western friends, but I will love, this is the reason I write. I also want our Somali people to get a hold of it, because look at the hair of Suban. Look at how Suban looks. Truly, you will see our children in them. And I literally, like I said, this was really a passion project between my infusion nursing and me typing away this story of love. I want our children to see a reflection of what it's like to feel that they belong. I'm gonna read a little bit, and I'm gonna read it like you're a little kid, guys. So buckle up. The bleeding of her goat pulled Suban from her sleep. She sat up immediately and gave her front teeth a hard cut, but nothing moved. Outside, she heard the goat maa, the sheep and the baby camel. It was early in the morning and they were hungry. Suban ran out to the goat pen. Feeding time, she said, laughing as they pecked one another. Next, Suban went to the camel's pen. Feeding time, she said, laughing at how their long legs wobble. As you can see, Suban, she's holding an hadoop. Finally, Suban ran into the sheep pen. Feeding time, she cried, but Suban wanted to do more than just help with the animal. Suban wanted to finish her chores. After Suban finished her chores, her ayayo handed her a hadoop filled with a fresh goat milk. When can I herd the goats by myself, ayayo? Suban asked. When you lose your front teeth, said ayayo. When will I lose my front teeth, ayayo? Suban asked. When 4 full moon passed. 4 full moon, that felt like forever. Morning after morning, Suban helped her animal. She played with her favorite goat, Hormado, and practiced herding the babies around the house. There you go. I love this one. Look, nighttime. One full moon passed, then another. Suban was getting tired of waiting. When will my front tooth fall out, ayayo? When you hear the frog sing out the pond, ayayo replied. Suban knew the frogs returned only when enough rain fell. But Suban saw not a wisp of cloud in the sky and smelled no hint of rain in the air. And there you see Suban. And I know we don't have a lot of kids audience, but in here I want to say she's getting frustrated more because apparently one tooth falling out isn't gonna cut for ayayo. She wants both foot, and look what she found. She found a goat butt head. And there she managed to take another foot. I want to read a little part for you that is all the children are really excited. Here Suban finally is able to herd the goat. And you can see a young girl holding her stick. And young girl, just like me, climbing termite mountains. I like that Suban watches her shadow to tell time, to see, reads footprint. I think what children of the earth are gonna learn is how to be in tune with nature. And what happens when you can do things by yourself, you gain self-efficacy. And here we see Suban, the tricky fox, trying to get to her goat. And she realized, she said, suddenly a cry woke Suban. Hormado, sneaky fox jumped from the bushes and bounced on her baby goat. Suban leapt up. Nahoy, nahoy, tricky fox, you will not get my goat. This is something that gets kids excited. My niece is recording me. Nahoy, nahoy. And this is why we added, nahoy, nahoy, tricky fox, you will not get my goats today, she yelled, throwing. In the end, we see Suban taking her animal home safely, her ayayo again. So I want to read this part for you again. Ayayo, I fought off a fox today, Suban said. I knew you were a wise, brave little one, ayayo said as she stroked her hair. Before she fell asleep, Suban asked her ayayo, when can I take the camel to fetch the water by myself? When you are as tall as my shoulder, her ayayo said. Look at this Suban holding the goat. But this time, Suban was happy to wait.